Welcome to the first episode of Football Fever Podcast. Stay tuned, stay tuned. I have a lot of questions to discuss with you today. This is our in-house expert, Coach MJ, the in-house coach and your in-house analyst. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. We're going to try and answer as many of your questions as we can. Okay, so welcome to the first ever episode of our podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm here.
So I'm gonna shoot the questions right now.
Alright.
Although I have like a list of a bunch of things. We have been talking off camera. We have been discussing a lot of stuff off camera in the kitchen, in the car, and also just like when you are having a kickabout. So the importance of sports. How would you describe that?
The importance of sport, man. That's a very good, question right there. Basically, sport is a way of life. You know, if you're if you're a person who who is into sport, either it's just your hobby, or you know, or it's your profession. It's a way of life. So if it's your hobby, pretty much, even if it's not your profession, you do it for a purpose.
So I mean, the sports is like it's like a lifestyle, right?
Yeah, like a lifestyle.
How would you describe a lifestyle choice in today's world when pretty much we are connected to these gadgets 24/7? What's your take on that?
Yeah, man. It's my take on this, man. This is a reality of the situation, at this moment, the life we live in it, you know, because I remember, back then, me growing up as myself, even though we don't have much, but we have sport. We have like that's the reason I'm interested in football. You know, I don't just I play football because I don't look at anybody's eyes. Or I don't need anybody to tell me to play football.
Mm.
You understand? It's part of me growing up. For where we come from, growing up. If you don't have a hobby, pretty much, you will end up having other hobbies. You'll definitely have something. So it's your choice. Either you choose the good ones or you choose the bad ones.
So you mentioned sports, the value of sports.
Yeah.
Now you've got that right, kids. You got to play something. But then you mentioned not having much. This is where the whole point comes in that football is the closest and the cheapest form of fitness you can get universally. I would like your light on that. Like, why do you mention football?
Yeah, because football, you don't need, you can play football anywhere you are. You know, it's just like, running. But running is different with football. Football, at least you've got something. That's the ball. You've got. So that you can put your energy into that ball, and then that would help you, keep you fit, you know. And also, it's a game, it's an interesting game, all over the world nowadays. Even back in the days as well. So you can relate to it. Either you're watching a football match, professional football match. You have somebody that you admire. It's your icon. So yeah, that give you motivation. You know, to keep carrying on, for you to look up to that individual. I'm not talking about anyone, but someone with good charisma, so you can look up to the person and make that as your role model.
Yeah, football is universal. It's the cheapest form of fitness you can get.
Yeah, that's
At the
right.
same time, you mentioned off camera that growing up you didn't had much,
Yeah.
which brings me to this um, point, how you managed, back in the days when you didn't had all these gadgets, so you were always out and about, right? I'm from that generation where you have to go out and play and make friends physically. You can't be sitting inside the house, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So when you were arranging the games, how would you approach football as a magnet that attracts people? Shed some light on that, please.
Yeah, because growing up, everyone, me, my friends, or pretty much the whole community, most people, because we have our own community little stadium.
Mm.
Okay, so in which each area have their own team. So yeah, everybody comes out to support your team. It's just like nowadays, how they do it professionally.
Mm.
Yeah, but that time, yeah, we do it. We can just because it brings people together. Like if it's like this area A is playing against the other area communities, everybody's interested. So if that match is kicking up, people comes up, ticket sellings, and then they come and support.
Mm.
Yeah, they support their team, and then yeah, and at the same time, them days everybody have like a team they support, internationally. So that also is quite popular. So growing up, you seen like you watching World Cup, you watching Premier League, you watching like Champions League games, you watching different leagues. So you seeing how these people is watching on even though you're watching on TV, they motivate you like even though they are doing it professionally. So if you can do it professionally, that's good. It's a good thing because that is on the next level, another level of fitness still, but you are doing it at a pro level. But if you're not, if you don't make it to the pro level, what you can do is that keep yourself fit. Wherever you working regularly, you going to school, keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, keep going out there, exercising, you know. Yeah, as you say, football, is the one form of easy way of fitness. Very easy. It's not really that hard, and it can keep you stay fit for a long time. If you follow up the correct procedures, the diet stuffs, yeah, and that good advice.
Yeah, so how would you describe your way of thinking when you said you wanted to bring people together? You wanted to bring communities together in order to create a tribe, a nation, I would say, on a unique cause, and that is getting fit through the cheapest form of fitness. Right now, you mentioned something that it was bringing people together. Bringing people together is a part of the human experience that we are having, right?
Yeah.
So, for that, what motivated you to take that initiative when you could have done something else? You had friends. Yeah, I know, like, it's so easy to go off track.
Yeah.
How and what made you motivated enough to go and follow that track?
Yeah, that's a good question. For myself, as I say to you, like growing up, going to school, you know, having like a friends, couple of my friends. So there isn't much for us to do. Like we do work, helping our parents, regularly. So we do what we pretty much do all our responsibilities. I will talk, myself. I do all my everything I need to do. I will do it. If I have to help my dad, my mom, I will do all of that. I'll go to school. So my life. So I decided to create a space for the sport as well. That's for myself. Look after myself. So I feed all of that in there. So I've
Mm.
got this routine. So whatever, if I have to go to school, finish school, then I know that okay, I finish school. My dad don't need me to do any work today, or my mom, then I'll, go and play football with friends and other teams. So yeah, doing that, I managed to be creative in that sense, at the same time, and I was, I managed to have my own crew in which we are very connected, like friends, like family, pretty much. So every week and week out, we organize like football match with other areas, with other neighborhoods, other communities. So we organize this football match and challenge each other. You know, so we make it like a little bit competitive.
Mm.
So yeah, and also yeah, so we keep doing that, until we all know each other, even though some of them people like we play with, they're a little bit far away from us, but if anytime we organize football, no matter where they are, they will show up and they will come. They will show up to our area and then we play football. So if they also challenge us, so we will go to their ends
Mm.
and play against them. So yeah, sometimes they win. So but we all want to win, you know. Because we put some little prize in the middle, you know what I mean, to motivate each other. So yeah, that we keep doing that, getting fit. And sometimes school, growing up, yeah, we have PE class, yeah, all of that, keep me, I was always the a leader in this kind of things. Even in our PE class, I'll bring the boys together. Whoever is interested, then yeah, we go and have matches, with other class
Yeah.
versus this class A versus class B. We do all of that, So yeah, growing up, that's what we do, you know, until now, you know, that's years ago, but I'm still doing it, you know.
Yeah.
Every Sunday I play. I used to play. I've played for a couple of teams, Sunday leagues, as well. Keep myself fit constantly. As I said, you don't have to be a pro, to keep yourself fit.
Yeah.
Just because you're not a pro, that doesn't mean that you should just relax, and then thinking that, yo, no, this game is not for me. It's for these people. You don't do that. If you look at those people, they can motivate you. You look at the professional players, you know,
Mm.
and I don't even need to name anybody. If you look at the game, you'll see that, oh, these people, they fit. And look at yourself. You can be like that as well. You don't have to be playing for your club. In fact, you know, to be fit, you can look for a club if that's what will make you fit. But as I said, just keep it up. The hard work. That's it.
That is really profound.
All right.
That kind of sums up the motivational factor which made you train and bring people together. The whole idea of bringing
Yeah.
people together. So I have a few questions in my mind, but I'm gonna have a pause instead of shooting those questions towards you right now. Um, I will bring this factor when you mentioned finding a club or a team that you, as an individual who's supposed to be getting fit,
Yeah.
should do. Now, we have noticed in certain areas you can't really get those teams ready for you, and you are sometimes stranded or alone by yourself trying to be the fittest guy in the area. And maybe you just want to do it for passion, or maybe you just want to do it for fitness.
Yeah.
Then what you're going to do if you are alone in a place where you're surrounded by people who don't share the same values as you? You've
Yeah.
been there.
That's a good question. As an individual, like we all have you know potential one way or another. So I've been in that situation where I've been lonely, alone, all by myself. But that doesn't. I don't look at what people do.
Mm.
What I look at, what I can do.
What
That's
you can do as an individual.
as an individual. So what
Mm.
people do, I don't wait for people to tell me what to do. If what I can do, I will keep doing that. If people gonna help,
Mm-hmm.
that's a bonus. You understand?
Yeah.
I'll wake up. If I have to wake up, and go and train, I'm not doing it for anybody to be looking at me. Personally, I will be doing it, you know, because my body need it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So, and it's my life. My life needed my mental status. They all need it. If you exercise, you play for football is one of those things. It helps you in all aspects of life. You know, it doesn't always have to be fit. If you are fit, you know, if your physicality is fit, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
your mental health is fit.
Mm-hmm.
So everything about you, you know, will be straightforward. Your confidence increase. All right. So you're not just gonna. In fact, when you just tell me like you're alone, you're not gonna feel like you're alone. That loneliness kind of mindset
Mm-hmm.
will just disappear in the windows.
That's a really valid point. I need to pick your brain more on that. You mentioned the loneliness disappears. You've been there, right? We spoke about it before.
Yeah.
Talk me through growing up. You've gone through that stage. How did you feel? What kind of mindset you had, and what practices or what ideas you came up with in order to combat that?
To combat that, I always try to be busy, always trying to engage in something. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's why I've got. It doesn't have to be. It can be anything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
football for me. That's why football came to my life pretty much. You see that loneliness. Football. If I have my ball, I have my football boot.
Mm-hmm.
I have got them in the corner. I feel like I have friends.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
That's a good one.
Exactly. So, and because I know that anytime I want, I can just wear my football boot and take my football and go to the field and then make friends. If I even I'm playing alone, some guys will come and can I join you? I'll be like, yeah, come on, let's play.
Hmm.
You know. So suddenly we'll start 5 aside, and then suddenly I've made friends.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's the power of the community, right?
exactly.
And then in your head, because human beings are social animals, right?
Yeah,
You need to have a community around you.
you need
We
yeah,
need friends.
that's right.
So then, okay, my second question would be, for how long you were by yourself in that kind of mindset where you had to go out there and play alone because people around you were not interested?
Whoa, pretty much for even in fact, you'll hear all sort of things. We are obsessed with football, this and this and
Yeah,
that. You'll
yeah,
hear
yeah,
all sort of things. They're
yeah.
trying to discourage you. I've seen all of that. But for me, it doesn't discourage me, because for me, I know that if you are the one telling me that what you are doing, what are you doing?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So because I know what I'm doing, it's helping me. Me taking a ball, like me feeling lonely and taking a ball and going to either a park or a field, you know, to play football,
Hmm.
and then suddenly I will meet friends playing football with different people. Even go to the beach, you know, play football with people in the beach side. Suddenly, you come across with a lot of people. They want to play with you, you know. So yeah, you make friends. You meet people. Football does that to you. You know, that's a good value. You know what I mean? Something that helps you.
Hmm.
Yeah, meet people like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be. Can be anybody, but because of common interest.
Yeah.
We all have something in common. That's like playing the ball, playing the game. So it's interesting, Even though we're not getting anything out, we're not getting paid or anything, but we playing it. We getting, we're getting fit. We are sweating, and yeah, after that game in the beach or anywhere you are playing, you go home, take a shower, look at yourself. You feel different, you know. You feel like, oh yeah, I've done something today.
Yeah, something valuable I've done today for
Yeah,
myself.
exactly. You feel like if you relax in that,
Mhm.
you feel good knowing that you've earned, you know, you earn your that relaxation.
I'm going to pause you on there. You mentioned that when you when you got discouraged by people around you,
Yeah.
that's a big thing, and that's like the biggest hurdle any young adult, even a child, can face, right?
Oh yeah.
Why it happens, and what tools you're going to give out there because you've been there. How what tools you're going to give out there to those who are going through that stage to combat that? It's something that is communal, right? It's for the
Yeah,
community.
that's easy because if you are somebody, people see you growing up, like you know, especially they're seeing something, they just think it's useless.
Mm-hmm.
But because sometimes, they don't know, you know, the things people don't know, most people don't know about, they normally look at it as useless things, even though it's valuable.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you can have some very valuable thing in your possession, but because maybe you don't know about it,
Mm-hmm.
in other parts it's valuable, but for other people eyes it's valuable, but in your eyes you have it, it's in your possession, but it's not, it's useless because of you don't know much about that thing, unless you do for your findings, your own findings, and know what kind of things is this in my possession. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So people take things, some, that's why people complain like, oh, you know life is hard. Yeah, life is hard. But if you just sit down and put your hands together, of course, life is hard. It's going to be harder. And it's not going to get any better. But if you have to do something about it. So what you can do, that's the difference. That make the difference for yourself and for other people. That's why I can sit here today and talk to other people if they want to do things differently, how it's going to help them out. And that's the fact. If they listen. But yeah, that's the reality. What you can do about it. What people going to say to you, that doesn't matter.
Mm. So it's about the value, knowing the value that you bring to yourself.
Exactly.
And then when you are valuable to yourself, you're going to be more productive for the
For the
community.
community, yeah. And you can't be productive to the community if you are not, you know. So you have to be, number one, you have to be healthy. So
Yeah, big one.
yeah, you have to be healthy in order for you to help anybody. For you to even say to anybody anything, you yourself have to look at yourself first. Am I okay? Am I healthy? You know. Then that's the time you can also, you know, talk to people and then give them advices what you can, that's your take, what you can do to help. So to help in mankind, in humanity in general.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that's the way of life, and that's how I look at it.
It's a valuable point when you mention way of life. And I think people, when they are lost in whatever they are lost in, if they lose that value
Yeah,
of life, the first thing that suffers is your health. And the moment your health suffers, you know the term couch potatoes, you just become a couch potato,
yeah,
you just don't want to do anything else, right?
yeah. That's right. Yeah,
So if you are, since you are talking to people, you've done it, been there on the grassroots levels, this brings into the final question, and it's a big one: the power of words, power of the tongue. Now, what and how you can utilize your tongue, the way you use the words to bring about a change in the world. I'll give you the floor. Go ahead.
your tongue. Well, your tongue is quite important, because whatever is coming out of your mouth,
Mhm.
it's supposed to be something good, you know. Because the thing is, nowadays, especially we have in in the time of in this generation nowadays, people are more focused on what they saw
Mhm.
online or when they saw offline. You know what I mean? Like they don't like having that kind of like a face to face. You know, if you're trying to give somebody like a face, talk to somebody face to face, give them this advice.
Mhm.
Is that even happening now?
Not really, no.
So
Not
it's
really.
hard. So tongue, pretty much for you to see somebody open their mouth and say something, you know, interesting to someone or something that's gonna help the person is very rare nowadays. I barely see it. I'm not saying it's not out there, but because everybody's focused on different things. So nobody even have that time anymore, to be given advice. If and nowadays young people, if you're trying to advise them, they'll be like, "You can't lecture me." They think it's a lecture, or you're trying to tell them off. You understand? While you probably giving them experience you've gained in the past growing up, because that's life. We go to past our ages, certain age, then you learn from that. But you don't want to wait and learn and make a lot of mistakes and then learn from those mistakes. Maybe it might be too late for you if you're trying to make things right in the future. But if you are smart, you listen. People who got experience. Yeah, you know, you might make changes that might help you. You understand? Because when it comes to tongue, for people nowadays, most it's different. You don't know who got the wholehearted you know felt for you. You don't know about the person who heart is there for you specifically. So some people they'll just say things, they'll just tell you things, and they'll go and say other things another day. You understand? So the reliability of human beings is also out there. So that's why to believe in what people say is difficult. So unless you trust the person, and trust which is built slowly but gradually. Yeah. So what I can say is, you know, just whatever it is, as a human being, you just have to be yourself, and just listen to good things. You can take things in, but make sure you filter. Whatever is bad, let them go. Good things, focus on them, and innovate yourself, forward with that. That's how what I can say about listening to tongues.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
You mentioned the thing in here being someone who is responsible, someone who is reliable. Reliability,
Yeah.
responsibility, I think it's the core value of the central midfielder. When you're a central midfielder,
Yeah,
you
man.
literally you are a midfield marshal, right? That's the name given to it,
Yeah.
that position. So, as a midfield player, if you start putting your focus towards your team values, tell me as a midfielder, because you played in midfield, right?
Yeah.
From a midfielder's perspective, what you just mentioned, if you want to translate that into the football terminology, how would you describe that?
Well, as a midfielder, yeah,
Mm.
in football, every position, is crucial.
Mhm.
But as you said, midfield is where the whole game is made. Going forward, because if midfield, if as a team, if you have a weak midfield, then you have a weak defense, and then if you have a weak defense, then that means you are a losing team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So defense start from up there, midfield area, you know, because you can't wait. You can't wait for your defenders to defend while you defenders are only there
Mhm.
just to wait for the loose ball, lost ball. The one the midfield can control. But if midfield is playing really well, defense they don't have to worry about anything. That's why you see like defense most of the time it's only two people and two people there.
Yeah.
So the rest they all like right back, left back. So it's four, but two central defenders. So this right back, left back, they can go for offensive. They can go on offensive, but the two defenders they have to stay. Maybe one can go, but he can't pass. He can't go, you know, more than halfway through the midfield. So you just have to be in that middle. So yeah, as a midfielder, it's a big responsibility. So yeah, that's why most of the time you see the keepers of a team
Mhm.
are old midfielders. You know.
And all the big revolutions in the last 50
Yeah.
years in the football tournaments came from midfield.
It's the midfield. It's a most exciting place to play in football.
Yeah.
You have to be somebody who know how to play the ball really well, how to control the ball, how to pass, you know. So you have to, all of that. Shooting, how to score.
Yeah.
Because if you like, you can see midfielders, they even score more goals. Some midfielders score more goals in a season than a striker.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, because that's the place, you know. And if your midfield is weak as a football club, you have to do something about it quickly.
You're gonna struggle, right?
You will struggle defensively, and your strikers will not get the ball because there's nobody to pass them.
Yeah, because it's the build up comes from the midfield,
Yeah,
the actual build up, and then you have the one is an anchor, for example, someone like Paul Scholes,
yeah,
right? And then you have someone like Steven Gerrard or Pablo Aimar or Zidane, who's controlling the entire flow of the game, right?
of course.
So as
You
a
can name them. There's been a lot of legends. Midfield legends.
yeah,
Can name them. Some are, you know, Madrid, Real Madrid.
yeah,
Pelo. So yeah, man, there's been so that's why all of those players, if you look at them, most of them, the football club they're in,
yeah,
they don't. If they have a big club, they don't tend to let them go that easily.
true,
They tend to keep them because if you get rid of midfielder,
yeah,
you don't know, especially a holding midfielder,
yeah.
and you don't replace him properly, that can cost the team, heavily.
Like Makelele, when he left Real Madrid.
Exactly, you remember that?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
So that Real Madrid, before they recover from that, it took them how many players?
Yeah,
So we can name them if you want. But it took them several players, loads. They couldn't replace. They couldn't, fit that gap. Makelele left.
I
So
think that era of Real Madrid from like 2003 onwards till they won back in 2007 8, those years should be studied, like how losing your key midfielder can cost you years.
that's a good point. That's why I say to you, that's why now the team they are wise. They, man, not just to let your best midfield player just go
Yeah.
like that. No,
And it ties up well with the whole idea of being responsible, because as a midfielder you need to be responsible. If you're not responsible, you're going to constantly lose the ball, or you're not watching what's happening behind you, right?
exactly. So that happened to like this guy, United. Remember Paul, Pogba.
Yes.
United bought him from Juventus for like for near 100 mil or 100 mil.
Wow.
All right. So just to, for him to come, you know, and fill that position like that leadership because he needed.
Yeah.
Pogba, although he's a world class player, but that was that responsibility. He got so much responsibility, but he didn't get it at the time. Like what United was expecting from him. So he did a little bit better, but the expectation that he came up with it, he didn't make that. So that's that's why he got flopped, and then most United fans were not happy with him, because they want him to be committed, full commitment, and then so hardworking, and then control the dressing room, so leadership, like what I mean,
Yeah.
like these midfielders that some of these the names we were talking about earlier on, those midfielders, they got that leadership kind of mentality, and what we just talk about, that responsibility, yeah, that commitment. So that's what United was looking from him, but yeah, I don't think he was money to deliver that. So yeah, his midfield is the key, man. Yeah, if you look at it, all the teams that are successful nowadays, as we are watching PSG flying over, because they've got that midfield, in that middle seat, they got that sorted.
Yeah.
They got people there. They're really good at holding the ball, passing the ball, running over. They can do whatever they want with the ball.
Yeah,
So
it's a
they
power
got
position.
exactly, they got that covered. So that's why they're all in a position where they, even Arsenal, they're gonna win the league this season. But that's why they're winning it, because they spend money in their midfield.
Nice.
You know
The foundation is strong,
exactly.
basically.
So for you to play against Arsenal and dominate them in the middle, it's hard. Man City is the same. So any team that's successful, yeah, check their midfield.
Get that midfield.
Yeah, of course.
Which brings our first conversation to a really nice end. What is the final message you're going to give out to those who are starting out? You can look into the camera and give the advice as a coach.
As a coach, yeah, what I can say is that never ever ever stop playing, chasing whatever you know your dream is. If you want to be a footballer, you know, the dream, just keep the dream alive by you playing, by you keep training, exercise. Do it. Don't do it for because of somebody's pushing you or somebody. No, do it for the passion. You know, just enjoy yourself. Do it because of you want to enjoy yourself. You want to come out from that lonely feeling. Oh, somebody's telling you you can't do this. No, that's not right. Just believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you can achieve anything. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. So, yeah, as usual, for me, that's the advice I can give, and I will be giving that advice anytime, anywhere.
Brilliant. This has been a fantastic conversation, and this brings us to the end of our first episode. Now it's time for us to go and play. So stay tuned. We're gonna be bringing more stuff out for you. Adios.